gosh, why is it so hard? Okay, so Gumbella, let's start with her. Alright. Head bonk and multi bonk are pretty much the moves that you're gonna be using and stuff like that. Tattle is for, you know, finding out enemies and all their weaknesses. Yeah, Rally Wink, which will allow Mario to have an extra turn. Now, like I said, multi bonk and head bonk kind of being her only damage moves kind of falls a little short. But since Tattle pretty much just gives you all the information of those characters, it does give her a lot of saving grace, like a lot of saving grace. Remember, information is the most powerful thing that you can do in a video game, okay? So that one, with that said, she's going to be in a solid B tier. Alright, she's already a solid B, alright? Now, Koops. Koops' unique thing with having an extra defense allows him to, like, really take advantage of, what's it called? You can stack a lot of defense. But his base skills of Shell Toss, Power Shell, and Shell Shield and Shell Slam, all great skills. Shell Toss and Power Shell, basically the same moves. They only hit ground enemies, but he does not take damage from the hits. So he's immune to a lot of, like, the contact stuff. Yeah, you lose out on the air enemies, but you know what that doesn't stop it from? That doesn't stop him from becoming useless. A lot of enemies aren't air-based, and Mario can take care of the air enemies just in case of that. But the issue with what I have with Gabella is the contact. Contact enemies are crazy. So even if you had an air enemy, Koops can still hit ground enemies with no contact. The shell is great because it can just take damage for you. So it's really good. And then Shell Slam is piercing. So it just goes through defenses. Really good for when they do have defenses on the ground. Yeah, but yeah, Tattle gives you HP. And yes, Koops is great unless he gets bounced on. But here's the funny part. Just use defense. As much as it is difficult in this game to, like, block or to, like, super guard attacks, guarding attacks is a lot more telegraphed when it comes to bouncing. So if an enemy does a bounce attack, just use guard. Like, you can see it coming. They're all telegraphed as hell. And you don't even have the timing for the window of it is great. I'll be honest with you. I've been able to guard more attacks than super guard, 100%. I think the only time when I'm not able to super guard attack, when it's not very well telegraphed. But most bounce attacks are telegraphed. Or, you know, the occasional pan that falls from the ceiling. Those are the very odd attacks. But still, with that extra defense that Koops has, it gives him basically almost twice the amount of health at sometimes. Especially with him being able to provide more defense too. With that said, though, he has a good amount of damage. He can hit multiple enemies too. So I'm going to give Koops a nice solid A. Now, here's my little controversial one. Madame Flurry, the next party member that you get. I think Madame Flurry falls off pretty hard. I'll be honest with you. I think she is a little bit one of the more weaker allies because most of her skills are kind of like, they're all contact for any of them to do damage. So, you know, if it's a no contact, then suffer. Basically, she can't do anything against them. Good part, though, she does have Gale Force. Gale Force, the one that can just get rid of enemies, is just really good. I don't know the stipulation or the way it works, but you can essentially just get rid of a whole bunch of enemies. Of course, it doesn't work on bosses, of course, but it's really good for that. She also has Lip Lock, which Lip Lock does a lot of damage and healing. So she can kind of tank through a lot of things if you set it up right. But again, that's a contact. And, you know, I know there's badges and stuff that can, you know, help with the contact thing, but that's specific for each enemy. Now, because Gale Force doesn't work on bosses, and because she can't do contact, and then her Dodgy Fog is good. I'm not going to say it's bad. It is a sometimes chance, and, you know, you could get it, and then enemies hit you for that round, so you just wasted up flower points. It's not guaranteed dodge. It's only, you know, sometimes dodge. So because one of her attacks, basically both of her attacks are contact, and she can hit flying or any, so, you know, she's not limited to it, but it's a contact. And her other two skills are heavily dependent on things, RNG. I'm gonna have to give her a C, unfortunately. Sorry. She lacks a little bit. Though, like I said, the lip lock, healing, and all that stuff is great when it works. Yoshi Kid, or whatever you decide to name the Yoshi. Now, here's where I say this is a really good companion. Ground Pound, especially with the upgrades to it, and also the power that you can add to it, makes it to where it's amazing damage. Yes, it hits air enemies, it does do contact. So it does suffer from the contact issue as well, but it still does amazing damage if used right and properly. Gulp is strong. I don't know how the damage works on it, but I think Gulp just pierces, and it does that piercing damage to both of the enemies at the same time. Damaging second, ignores defense of both. So it does not make contact, but you can't eat side spike enemies. So, like, I forgot what the things that like branch out the spikes. You can't hit those guys. I know that. And you can't swallow huge enemies, so it doesn't work on bosses. But why would you need that when you can just ground pound? So the first two moves already are great. Mini Egg now, it shrinks the enemy, which I think lowers their attack. Very good, just good move. It does damage. Okay, it does do damage. And so it does damage, it doesn't make contact, and it can shrink. So it has kind of all three of what you need. Overall, it's a good move, not too bad, and not really anything negative I have to say about it. It's semi-random apparently, but it's pretty good. Then Stampede. Oh wow, Stampede hits all enemies. Even air, okay, cool. It hits all enemies, does not make contact. So overall, it's just a big AoE, solid damage, hits everything. All of his moves are useful in some sort of way. All of them have great benefits, and ground pound with power up is just broken. With that, I'm having to give Yoshi the best character out of that one. It's just too strong, too easy to beat the game with a lot of challenges with them. I don't know if the new game nerfed anything with it. I haven't felt it, but it still feels too strong. Then we're gonna go to Vivian. Sorry for Mario snoring in the background. He's lazy. Vivian. Vivian is a wild card for me sometimes, because I like 3 of the moves that Vivian has. Shade Fist, causing the burn status, basically guarantees an extra damage to it. Of course, some enemies are immune to fire, and you know, that's whatever sometimes, but it still does do solid damage. It does, what's it called? It can hit any enemy. It does make contact though, so you know that's not always bad, but what's it called? she has other moves for that. I'm trying to remember all of them. Veil. Being able to just skip around. So if there's an enemy with a telegraphed attack, Veil just negates that completely. Just full on, no damage taken. great solid defensive move. That's all I gotta say for you. You kind of have to know what you're fighting against though, but it does have really great capabilities to that. Fiery Jinx. Yes, it's a fire move, so if they're immune to fire damage, it's not gonna do anything. It hits every single enemy, and it causes burn. Oh, and apparently it pierces, so it ignores defense. So you got the best of all of that. So I guess anything but a fire enemy, it does great overall. Yeah, I think that's about it. The only bad part is if it was immune to fire or burn, it doesn't work, but still a solid move. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Ultra, which is Infatuate, which confuses enemies, confusion is really good. It is a chance for enemies to attack each other. Yeah, okay, it gives a chance for enemies to attack each other. And that can really trivialize fights, but it, of course, it's one of those, it really doesn't probably do much for bosses. I'm not sure if bosses can be confused. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really gotten to that point where I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely tell. But it is good for all around just hitting every enemy. It doesn't do damage, I believe, though. Yeah, okay, it doesn't look like it does damage. That's what I didn't like about it. If it did damage, I think it would be a better move. But confusion itself is not bad in general, but it is one of the weaker moves because it does do damage. And with that, because of that, I have to give Vivian, I'm gonna give Vivian a I'm gonna put Vivian above Koops just because Veil alone and the burn is just free damage, and you can just set it up, switch them out, and prepare another one because that burn lasts a few turns. So you can just put extra damage on whenever you want and then cycle them back and forth to rotate the damage. Admiral Bobbery. I will have to say Admiral Bobbery is probably the one that I don't use the most, only because of just like I think they're a little boring. Like, it's not bad. I think they're just a little too simple sometimes, I guess. Now, yeah, the bomb explosion that they have, it's a ground attack. It can flip enemies too, which I did not know that. But spiked enemies you can't hit, and it does extra explosion damage too if they're weak to explosion. Very, very solid damage. It can flip, which is awesome, and it does not make contact. And the side spike thing, that's any character who can go to the side, which surprisingly some of them aren't. Weird. So bomb, the explosion bomb move he has, very solid. Bomb Squad, where he launches the mini bombs. After playing with it, I realized that it's not that great. You have to aim it, which the aiming kind of is kind of weird. Yeah, it's just kind of weird for it, and it takes a little bit of time for the bombs to go off. Bobbery. Did I say something else? Oh, robbery. You said, yeah. It's like Bobbery does the most solid middle ground for everything. Like, there's not really too bad of damage. There's not too bad of skills. I think the counter attack is decent, and then the massive explosion, which is just big damage to everything. It's solid. Does it hit? So bomb can't hit flying enemies. Just found that out. But bomb blast can. So can't hit flying enemies on that one. Actually, two of his skills. So two of his skills can't hit flying enemies. But does not make contact, which is good. But it's solid. You can give solid middle ground of he can do good damage. I really don't like Bomb Squad. I think that's just me personally. But it is what it is. With that, I would give Bobbery. I'm gonna give Bobbery a solid B above Goombella, only because they have ways of dealing damage to at least every type of enemy. Some way of dealing damage to every type of enemy. And last but not least, Miss Mouse. Now, here's the thing. Miss Mouse does have the Love Slap, which pierces, which is a surprising move that just comes with Pierce, which it's solid. It's a ground move, so it can't hit flying, but it's really good. Now, here's the move that I don't like. Kiss Thief. Kiss Thief is literally only if they have items or badges that you're wanting to steal. It does no damage. It steals them. So, you know, that's good. If you already have it, you don't need it, which I don't know if there's specific items or anything that you need to steal that can only be used for something. I don't remember from the top of my head. And even then, that would be like maybe 1 or 2 uses for something like that. Kiss Thief kind of falls under the regards of a useless. You could just say it. Yeah, no, she's garbage. Yeah, at the end of the day, she's garbage. Yeah. Tease, again, another move that doesn't do damage, but it gives Dizzy, which Dizzy is basically just the dodge, but opposite. And they basically work the same way. And it only goes on her. So, sorry. No, it goes on all the enemies. But again, I mean, just a chance to miss, so they can still hit you. And I'm not mistaken, I think it's only a 1-turn Dizzy. So if it's a 1-turn, if they hit you, you just wasted 3 flower points. Like, oops. Sorry. Then there's Smooch, which can heal Mario up to 10 HP. You know what else can heal Mario? Even more HP? Items. You know what she can do? Give you an item that heals more. She has a skill that heals when items can heal more than what she can do. If it gave flower points back, it would be like a way to make her a little bit more busted, because then you're just cycling through and be like, okay, I need to keep refilling my flower points by expending them. So you can kind of just like spam skills and stuff like that. No, it doesn't do that. It just heals 10 HP. Cool. Here's a mushroom. Does the same thing. It saves me flower points. Here's a cooked mushroom. Gives me flower points and does more healing. It sucks. It just sucks. And with that, yeah, she has to go in the battle. There we go. There's your tier list. If you have a problem with it, you're allowed to have your own opinion. Mine's right, yours is wrong. That's how it works. I'm kidding, by the way. But yeah, with that, embracing what I believe in. Yoshi just good all around. Has a way to deal with almost every single enemy. I think the only enemy that No, Yoshi has a way with every. I was gonna say certain characters. There's the flying spiked enemies, right? The ones that are in the air that have a spike. I forgot which ones they're called. And it's super specific how you're supposed to deal with them. Either you're supposed to use the star power or like throwable hammer, items. There's only specific ways you can deal with them. Yoshi has a way to deal with all those enemies. Ground pound can hit the air enemies. The Yoshi Stampede can hit every single enemy, even flying ones. So if they have the spike thing, they're good. Gulp pierces. The eggs provide soft. It's just every move can be used anytime you want. There's always a solution or an option that Yoshi has. Vivian, solid damage, like good moves, can hit almost pretty much every enemy as well. The only downside is fire, being that there's fire enemies that Vivian can't hit. Oh boy, there's some like very, very specific enemies that resist fire. It's very obvious which ones they do. And even if their moves still do damage, Veil prevents you just from getting hit, and I think you could spam it every turn too, as long as you have flower points. You could just pretty much negate damage permanently, if I'm not mistaken. And then yeah, the dodge thing, it's kind of like but 2 good moves overall, just massively good damage moves. And then that's why Koopa's right underneath that, because Koopa has 2 great damage moves for the ground, and a third one too. The shell one is also still good. It's just more damage, stronger version of the other move, and basically has a way to negate damage as well too. But it only works on Mario. So that's the downside. But overall, just good damage, has extra defense, which that extra defense can help out a lot in certain situations. So can't deal with air enemies, but you have great, solid ground options. Bobbery, good solid damage all around. Technically has a way to deal damage to every character, but like that's it. Just solid damage. There's no real like defensive options like, oh, the counterattack will do damage back to enemies that hit him. It's like, well, he's still taking damage, so it's like cool. No defensive options. I think that's what it is. No defensive options, no statuses other than the counterattack, and just damage. So that's why it's a good middle ground. And then yeah, Goombella is right underneath that, because Goombella, Tattle I think saves Goombella the most. Tattle and then the extra Mario turn. Because once it's an enemy that can't be contacted, she has no way of dealing damage. None. So she is very limited, but because she can tell you that, like, hey, you can't touch this, it sets you up. And also you can find out weaknesses of the enemy, so really good. This Flurry, like I said, like very, very select enemies that you can really kind of like cheese. Gale Force being like the RNG of instant KO, and instant KO moves that are RNG, you know how I feel about that. Like, and yeah, Miss Mouse just sucks. Oh boy, you have a piercing attack, you can steal an item, and you, yeah, not that great. But yeah, with that said, that is my tier list. I'm glad that you guys had to spend this time with me. I'm probably going to cut this portion up and upload it to YouTube just for the fun of it. Yeah, with that, y'all have a great night. Be safe, stay beautiful, stay awesome.